My name's Robert Silke and I'm an architect. Our firm is Robert Silke Partners. We are an independent, medium-sized, very design-orientated practice. We're very, very well known for exuberant, late Art Deco, futuristic, Bauhaus-inspired kind of design. Our outlook, more than anything, is curvy, optimistic, futuristic. We're very interested in architectural modernism, right? And as an aesthetic movement, probably sees its origins in the 1920s, and we're in the 2020s. No coincidence, we're sitting 100 years later. And in the 1920s, the world was coming out of that famous 1918 flu epidemic, right? And architectural modernism, what people don't always know is that modernism was essentially a hygiene and a cleanliness movement. It was about clean lines, white walls, white tiles. It was literally architectural modernism and design modernism was a reaction to pandemic, to global pandemic. And if we talk about hygiene and design, we must understand what is dirt. The dictionary definition of dirt is literally it's matter out of place. Anything that is not in the place that it's supposed to be, it's somehow non-hygienic. If you start talking about bathrooms and kitchens, until the 1920s, bathrooms and kitchens in houses weren't particularly hygienic looking spaces. Kitchens didn't have kitchen units in them, they just had ordinary furniture. If you had a wooden armoire, you'd keep it in the kitchen and you'd keep your food in that wooden armoire. In fact, toilets weren't even white enamel before the 1920s, and taps were brass and you had to polish them. Until that time, there was nothing particularly hygienic about a bathroom. But then when epidemic hit, modernism came with it. And all of a sudden you started tiling your bathrooms from floor to ceiling. It became like a surgery almost. Everything was white so that you could clean it properly. The toilet bowls became white, no more wooden toilet seats. And technology was used in creating more hygienic kitchens, more hygienic bathrooms. And we came to think of that as modern and fresh and beautiful. And anything that was reassuringly clean and reassuringly modern was considered beautiful. But as our collective experience and imagination evolved through the 20th century, and that pandemic of 1918 became further and further more distant in our minds, we start to forget about those hygiene principles, and you could see that bathrooms evolved from those clean, white, almost surgical spaces towards the late 20th century and the early 2000s. Less and less tiles again, more and more color, people moving ordinary furniture back into their bathrooms. It became fashionable that you'd hang a picture in your bathroom, you'd put a piece of old wooden antique furniture in your bathroom, you wouldn't tile all the walls. As we forgot about the importance of cleanness in design and hygiene in design. Comes 2020 and COVID, everybody's concerned with hygiene again. In the run-up to COVID, we were also opening up our bathrooms more and more. We had toilet bowls in the master bedroom, right? When we know that nobody loves their husband that much. It's okay, you know, hotel rooms. I remember in the late 1990s and the early 2000s, there were big hotel brands in South Africa who were putting the toilet and the shower and the basin back into the room. And I tell you, when that toilet and that shower and that basin are brand new, and you're staying in a brand new hotel room, maybe it's okay. But just 3 years down the line, 5 years down the line, with a little bit of mildew in the silicone, and those are not the most fashionable pieces anymore. To lie, there's nothing more depressing and sleazy than to lie in your hotel bed staring at the toilet bowl or staring even at the basin is depressing enough. Comes the 2020 COVID pandemic, we're all concerned with hygiene and cleanliness again. Crisp white is the order of the day again. Mint green is the order of the day. Anything that reminds you of a hospital, that's back in the bathroom now. We're tiling those walls floor to ceiling all over again. We are suddenly concerned with separating spaces again. As architects and interior designers, we are primarily interested in architectural solutions to architectural problems. A touch-free tap or a tap or mixer with a battery in it, that's essentially a technological solution to an architectural problem, and I'd have questions as to that sustainability. I don't like too much fuss and too much high tech. We're very much into durable, sustainable design solutions. Electronics tend to not be as sustainable as something that is mechanical and works. As long as people are in the habit of washing their hands, that's a great thing. I don't need to make the tap touch-free. If people are washing their hands and using that tap, in my book, they're allowed to touch that tap while they're at it. Sustainability, and particularly in the Western Cape, is something we learned the hard way in the drought, and we were all faced with day zero and having to queue for water. We want to know that we're specifying a brand that is producing the most efficient fittings, whether that's in a toilet cistern or whether that's in a mixer. As architects, we have to know a little bit about a hell of a lot of things. We don't really want to get involved in engineering sustainable design in taps. We'd love to know that we're working with a brand that has that covered. In terms of color and in terms of color in bathrooms, again, we're talking hygiene, we're talking cleanliness. Say warm colors are out in the bathroom. White is a classic that has never gone away, and it's probably back more than ever right now. Easy to clean, easy to identify whether it's dirty or not. So in terms of like your ultimate COVID-proof bathroom, you're looking at either a fresh, white, clean bathroom, or you're looking at fresh, clean colors, the kind of colors that you might see in a hospital or a surgery. So your teals are huge at the moment, your sages, your mint greens, those are the colors for now. Why is that? Because they come from hospitals. And people think in terms of cleanliness, health, literally surgical, cool surgical colors. In terms of the materials that make up something like a tap, for example. I mean, we were the first to introduce black electroplated taps in our developments in Cape Town, and then there was a huge slew of people following. To tell you the truth, we're very much back on chrome at the moment, again, because it is reliably clean. You can tell if it's dirty. You don't have to worry that you're cleaning it too much. You don't have to worry that it's going to chip off, rub off. So I think chrome is a classic that's here to stay in the tap, simply because it's clean and it's durable. As a practice, the buildings we design, they've tended to be reasonably well known, reasonably famous, and I'd say developers select us as architects because we produce very identifiable building, be it sort of futuristic, modernist curves, curvaceous forms, sculptural kinds of buildings. A lot of people feel they've got to throw certain kinds of finishes at their building in order to make them saleable. We like to think that the design of our building is so strong that what we're looking for are fixtures and fittings that they are cool, confident, quality fittings that take a backseat to the architecture. The bow edge, for example, it's a beautiful, beautiful product because it doesn't fight with the architecture. It's just slick, self-confident, just does exactly what it needs to. The aftermath of COVID there's some permanent changes that are not just going to go away when the vaccine comes. There's going to be an enduring concern for cleanliness and hygiene in bathrooms. I would say full height tiling is here to stay for a couple of decades now. In terms of color, the way I see color moving, white is always a classic, as we've discussed. And we're seeing immediately post-COVID that we've started to come in with the mints and the greens, the pale greens, the pale teals. And I dare say that's going to morph in future years into other kinds of pastels are going to be coming back in bathrooms especially. You're going to start seeing pink ceramic suites in the bathrooms again, pink tiling. You're going to start seeing all sorts of pastel colors like your baby blues. And I would say the last of those pastels is going to start coming in maybe 5 years from now. So we'll probably see the return of the avocado suite. If I had one piece of advice to anybody who's designing a bathroom, particularly in a small space, and we're becoming increasingly interested in designing in small spaces, smaller flats, smaller spaces, do not be tempted to integrate your bathroom into the living room or into the bedroom. Because we said before, nobody loves their husband that much, okay? You don't need a toilet in the living room, you don't need the toilet in your main bedroom. And also, I think the days of the open plan kitchen, it's had a long run from like 1970 through to 2020. That's been the run of the open plan kitchen. Keeping the kitchen a little bit separate from your living space, not to have to stare at a sink full of dirty dishes, and to be able to start keeping one's lives a little bit separate and introduce a little bit of hygiene and routine into our lives. That our bathroom is one room and it's clean and it's tiled, and our kitchen is another room and it's clean and it's tiled, and it's not necessarily in the middle of your living room or in the middle of your bedroom. So people might not think they've got the luxury of keeping things separate if you're designing for a small space. And I would say that there's a hell of a lot of value in a good old-fashioned wall. Looking at the design of our own homes, our biggest investment is always going to be in the bathrooms and kitchens. That's generally speaking where we spend all of our money when refurbishing, and often that's the only thing that we're going to do. The one enduring characteristic of a bathroom for me, it might be embarrassing to say, but I mean, a bathroom is essentially a safe space, isn't it? For some people it's a happy place, for some people it's a safe space. In many ways, the bathroom is an area in which you are the most vulnerable, right? So what are you looking for in a bathroom? You're looking for privacy, you're looking for comfort, you're looking for safety, you're looking for cleanliness. In a busy household where there are lots of family members, it might be your only real private me time in the entire day might be in that bathroom. So it can sometimes be a meditative space. Silly things, we like rounded fittings because square fittings, if you're in a bathroom, most likely your body is going to connect sharply with the fixtures and fittings. I mean, you can take yourself out on a sharp corner. So yeah, we've never really been into those sort of very rectilinear taps and toilets. You can actually, hurt yourself at waist height on those units. Things that one puts into one's bathroom need to be friendly, shaped nicely. You want to look good in the bathroom. Everybody wakes up in the morning, wanting to look good that day. So how's your bathroom mirror set up? What's the lighting like on your bathroom mirror? Is it casting shadows across the face, or is it lighting you directly from the front? It's the first place you go to in the beginning of the day, and it's the last place you go to before you go to sleep. And the bathroom can make the difference between how you feel about yourself. I would say ultimately, if there's one thing we've learned right now in bathroom design, kitchen design, it's keep it clean.